right time to buy matters more on your personal situation than it does the overall economy. Heath is our first question. He texted in this: I've been wanting to buy a house for a while now, but it just hasn't felt like the right time. With mortgage rates coming down, is now the right time to buy a house? We get that question pretty frequently, Heath, especially from our younger to middle-aged clients who are either looking for their first home or maybe their second home, and they see those interest rates or the mortgage rates. They are higher, relatively speaking. I always like to say they're actually average. The long-term average is right about where they are now, right? We've seen them much higher, but we have more recently seen them lower. But the thing I would say, Tim, to Heath, first of all, the right time to buy matters more on your personal situation than it does the overall economy. I really liken this, Tim, to there's always a reason not to invest. We say that a lot with the stock market. There's always a reason not to buy a house. But when you're looking at the overall economy, first of all, the unpredictable nature of it, we likely will see rates come down in the next year or two, but we don't know that. And the other part of that is the housing market, the housing prices are likely to continue to go up.
Yeah, we don't expect prices of houses to come down much, if any, and more than likely they're going to continue to rise. I mean, we've seen inflation, and the hottest part of inflation is still the living expenses, whether it's apartment living, house living, whatever it might be. That is still the driving force of our inflation right now. So there's a lot of factors that go into, is it time to buy a house? I think that, Heath was saying it just hasn't felt like the right time. Again, it goes back to your personal economy instead of the overall economy as well. So, what does your personal situation actually look like? Do you have money set aside for that down payment? Because we definitely don't want you to have to borrow 95 or 100% of what you're going to put into a house. So we definitely want to make sure that you do have a down payment that goes into it. We want to make sure you have some money set aside, really an emergency fund or something else, because when you become a homeowner, things go wrong.
Sure
Things break. The warranty only covers so much. And so, being able to make sure that you aren't going to have something that comes up that's going to put you into debt, whether it's replacing a stove, refrigerator, whatever it might be, a new roof. I mean, there's all kinds of things that insurance doesn't fully cover on that. So you really have to look at your personal economy and see if it makes sense for you personally to buy a house. And I really wouldn't go into it with the interest rates. Yeah, the interest rates have kept some people or pushed some people down in price range. But if you find the house that's in your price range that you like, I would not wait for interest rates to go down. One of the things that we can always do a year or two later, if interest rates do come down, is to refinance. A lot of that happened over the last few years before interest rates went up. And so a lot of Americans are locked into low interest rates in that 2 to 3%, 2 to 4% range. And most of them aren't moving because of that. But there's a lot of reasons that you should go ahead and make that purchase if you personally, in your personal economy, are ready for it.
Yeah, so you mentioned the 20% down. I would certainly recommend having 20% down as a down payment. So you're going to have to know your price range, right? You're going to have to know what you're willing to pay for when it comes to the new house purchase. And we don't know if Heath owns his own home already. Is this a second home? If that is involved, then certainly knowing your equity that you're able to get out of selling that house and carry it over into the down payment of the new house can obviously make a huge difference on your mortgage. And then back to the price range part, I remember looking for my second house at the time, over 20 years ago, and my real estate agent telling me that you want to stretch that budget, you want to stretch that price, you want to stretch that mortgage because you're going to grow into it. And that did happen for me, but I don't know that I would use that advice today because I would look at it differently. I would take a look at what is the immediate impact of that mortgage payment, knowing what that mortgage payment is. What is the immediate impact on your margins in terms of the difference between your income and your expenses? If you're increasing a mortgage or starting a new mortgage, how much is it going to pinch the difference between your income and your expenses? Because you don't want to get yourself spread so thin that you're not able to make new purchases on other things, which would require you to take out new debt on top of the new debt of a mortgage. It would also potentially make you want to scale back on retirement contributions, which we don't want to see anyone do either. We want you to make sure you're on track for financial independence and make sure that the purchase of a new home doesn't derail that. And Tim, the only way to know if Heath is on track for financial independence is to build a plan.
Really, it all comes back to the plan about your budget, about your personal finances, what kind of margin you currently have, and what kind of strain is it going to put on your daily living. I mean, that's really, we want to make sure there's a balance there. I have known people to buy too big of a house, and the only thing they could really afford was the mortgage.
Yeah.
And there really wasn't even furniture in all the rooms, things like that. And I think, Scott, you did talk about growing into it. I think that was definitely true a number of years ago, and there's still a lot of, there's truth in that still, because that principal and interest payment, if you get a fixed rate mortgage, it is going to stay the same for 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, however long that payment could last. But I think the big thing we've seen recently, and I've heard so much more, is on escrow payments. What are those taxes and what are those insurance payments doing inside that mortgage on that house? And we have seen insurance really take off in the last few years as far as the cost goes. And in my county, Saline County, they came out and reassessed the value of all the homes after they had the increase the last few years. And now we're getting caught with higher valuations on the houses. So our taxes are going up on the real estate. So we're not really seeing it stay steady. And we're still seeing a nice increase on that monthly mortgage once a year when they make those escrow adjustments.
Yeah. So those are a few things to think about, Heath. Again, working with a financial advisor, that should be part of what he or she does for you in building an overall retirement plan, a plan for financial independence, and how a mortgage fits into that, and a plan to pay off that mortgage at a date in the future. Thanks for the question. Hey, I want to tell you we've got some live events coming up this fall. We call them Gen Wealth Academy workshops, and there's a list of them at our website. But the next one we wanted to tell you about, we have coming up on September 17th at 6:30 at the Chenal Event Venue in West Little Rock. That's just off Chenal Avenue, just on the other side of the U.S. Pizza that's right off of there, across Chenal from the promenade. And it is about estate planning. It's called Protecting Your Family Through Estate Planning. We want to invite you out. It is a free event. You just need to sign up at getreadyforthefuture.com/academy. And if you see another event there that you're interested in, you can see them all there at that location and sign up and learn about estate planning or many of the other topics. We've got a Social Security coming up this fall, the Social Security workshop, also one on the 3 big retirement risks. So if you're interested in coming out and seeing us, hearing a presentation, again, it's free to attend. There's usually food involved. Come on out. Just sign up at getreadyforthefuture.com/academy.